Hello everybody, my name is Davis, welcome back to a new video, and today we are here for another severe weather breakdown. Today we have a very large severe weather event, potentially even classified as a severe weather outbreak going on in the Ohio Valley today. We've got several tropical storms out in the ocean, so it's going to be a good time. So starting off with the SPC outlook for today, we have a marginal risk up here in the upper Midwest out into the Northwest. We do have a slight risk in that marginal risk in between North Dakota and Minnesota there. So look out if you're in that region. That does include Grand Forks, so look out for that. And then we have a marginal risk, a massive marginal risk that extends all the way from the deep south up into the Midwest, up into the Northeast, Ohio Valley, and much more. And then we have a slight risk of severe weather inside of that extends all the way out from the UP of Michigan over to Pennsylvania, as far south as central Ohio. And then inside of that slight risk, we have our first enhanced risk for a while now. We have not gotten an enhanced risk for like a week or two, I want to say, actually. So this is definitely a change of pace. Let's go and break down the threats that this is going to bring. Starting off with the tornado threat, we do have a 2% risk of a tornado up here in the upper Midwest. That once again includes Grand Forks, and then we have another 2% risk out here, and then we have a 5% risk, which is, I don't want to say rare, but it's definitely uncommon, especially for this time of year. So if you're in Cleveland or Detroit especially, you have a 5% chance to see a tornado today. If you're outside that in the green area, you have a 2% chance. So moving on to the damaging wind threat, this is what's driving our enhanced risk for today. So if you're in the brown region, either of them, you have a 5% risk to see wind gusts of 60 miles an hour or higher. Those can be very damaging, so look out for that. And then if you're in the yellow, you have a 15% chance to see that. If you're in the yellow area inside of this black circle here, you have a 15% chance to see winds of 75 miles an hour or higher. And if you're inside of the red with the lines, then you have a 30% chance to see wind gusts of 75 miles an hour or higher. We could potentially see a small derecho today. This is going to be a very dangerous storm, so if you were in the cities of Cleveland or Detroit, I'd start preparing now, honestly, because this isn't most likely going to hit until this evening and into tonight, but whenever it does hit, it's going to be big. So moving into the hail threat, we do have two 5% risks of hail of 1 inch or larger, and then two 15% risks of hail of 1 inch or larger. The main concerns for that are going to be northeastern North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota, and then southern Michigan over here. The biggest cities we have are Detroit and Grand Forks, so look out in those regions. Moving on to tomorrow, we have a massive marginal risk that is most likely going to get a slight risk tomorrow. It extends all the way out from Colorado all the way to the East Coast. This extends over half of the country, which is pretty large if you're not used to seeing these NWS maps. So we have a ton of very populated cities in that area, but we're not going to be able to break those all down, obviously. So let's go and break down the threats that this storm brings. Like I said, it'll most likely get upgraded to a slight risk at some point, but for now, this is what it's looking like. Tomorrow, no tornado threat, or at least a very little tornado threat. The wind threat, we have a 5% risk of damaging winds across this massive line, which is actually what's driving the marginal risks. It is going to be a wind threat. So anywhere in this brown region tomorrow, you have a 5% chance to see wind gusts of 60 miles an hour or higher, so look out for that. And then the hail threat, we have two different areas where we have a 5% risk of large hail of 1 inch or larger. One of them is over here near Nebraska, Kansas, and eastern Colorado, including Colby and McCook. And then we have one over here that extends all the way out from southeastern Iowa into central Illinois, extends all the way out from Springfield, almost up into Des Moines, maybe even very eastern bits of Des Moines. So I'd be looking out if I'm in those regions tomorrow, but not too badly. You just have a slight risk, or a marginal risk, rather, of severe weather. It's nothing out of the ordinary, especially for those regions. And then, once we go ahead and move into Saturday, I am happy to say that we currently have no marginal risks. Unfortunately, it's most likely not going to stay this way, but hey, it could, but at some point we'll probably get a marginal risk. Just putting that out there right now. So moving on to the National Hurricane Center, starting off with the Atlantic, we have a disturbance, here, let's go and look at the 7-day outlook, actually. So we have a disturbance here that has a 50% chance to form the next 7 days and a 20% chance to form the next 48 hours, but this is just going to go up in here off into the ocean, most likely not hit any of the 48 states. And then we have this one that has a 50% chance to form the next 7 days and a 50% chance to form the next 48 hours. Then we have Tropical Storm Franklin, which is actually set to become a Hurricane Franklin soon, and it could end up hitting Greenland, but we are way too far out to predict that for right now. And then we have this disturbance. This has a 60% chance to form the next 7 days and a 10% chance to form the next 48 hours. And if it does, it could go for the panhandle of Florida and cause some destruction. So we need to be watching this very closely. It'll also hit parts of Mexico and the Dominican Republic. So definitely be on the lookout for that if you are down here in the deep south, because that could very well form and then hit you guys. But we're not too sure yet, so I don't want to cause too much panic. I just said starting off. Continuing with the Eastern Pacific, we have this one that has a 40% chance to form the next 48 hours and a 70% chance to form the next 7 days. And I believe I said this last time too, but I mean, this could definitely go for parts of Mexicali here, like all the way up to Mexicali rather. And maybe even a little bit into California, but it's way too far out to predict that. And then we have this disturbance that has a 60% chance to form the next 48 hours and an 80% chance to form the next 7 days. This could go for Hawaii, but as we can see, it might go just a little bit off into the north because that's kind of the direction it's facing, but it very well could hit Hawaii here. So Hawaii, I would definitely be on the lookout here because this could definitely form and definitely hit you guys. It's definitely possible. So yeah, look out for that. Moving on to the excessive rainfall outlook, we have 2 different slight risks of flash flooding today. Those are 15% chances if you're in the yellow. This one extends all the way down into West Virginia and Virginia, and then goes all the way up into Michigan here. And includes a lot of populated areas, so look out if you're over there. And then the other one is down here in the Four Corners states. So yeah, definitely look out if you're in here. Luckily, there's not too many populated areas here. We do have Grand Junction, and then the Dixie National Forest, and some other areas in here. But I wouldn't be too concerned about this. This is kind of just a standard flash flooding risk. And then going into tomorrow, we do have another slight risk of flash flooding. This one is around the Denver area, and then also goes out here towards Kansas, Nebraska, and even a little bit into Wyoming, including Cheyenne. So I'd be looking out if I'm over there tomorrow. And then going into Saturday here, we do only have a marginal risk, but definitely look out if you're there still on Saturday, because most likely that will, somewhere in there, will get upgraded to a slight risk. Sunday, just 3 marginal risks, and then Monday, just 3 marginal risks. So moving on to the Climate Prediction Center. So we have a few different areas that is going to be seeing above average temperatures from August 30th to September 3rd, but we actually have a pretty large area that's going to be seeing below average temperatures from August 30th to September 3rd. And it is mainly up here in the northeast, and that area has been pretty nice all summer, honestly, but it does extend into the south, into the Ohio Valley, even into the Midwest a little bit. So we might finally be getting some heat relief in this region, because we have seen so many excessive heat warnings out here, and even still, and we're going to get into that later, because I don't normally do that, but we're going to be breaking it down. So then moving on to the 6 to 10 day, once again, August 30th to September 3rd precipitation outlook. This central area of the country have seen nothing but heat and drought for like the past month almost. It's just been ridiculous, and it's even starting to get into portions of the Midwest Ohio Valley region, which, I mean, it's just ridiculous, and I'm afraid to tell you that it's not going to be stopping anytime soon. We still have a very large area of below average precipitation likely for August 30th to September 3rd. If you're down here in northern Florida, kind of into central Florida a little bit, I'd be expecting some above average precipitation there, and then up here in Washington, Oregon, and the panhandle of Idaho, is that what they call it? I'm not sure. You could be seeing some above average precipitation. So, moving on to the day 8 to day 14 outlooks. Come on, load. Thank you. The temperature outlook. I don't know what to tell you guys. The heat's not going away. That's all I can say. I'm Dr. Seuss now, apparently, because I'm rhyming. Okay, that was not a funny joke. I'm sorry. It's going to be very hot, especially in portions of central Texas here, but, I mean, pretty much for the rest of the country, too, except for the Northeast. Those lucky dogs, man. So, obviously out here in East Central Texas, very, very hot. If you're in this dark red region, it's still going to be very hot. Moving into the orange, still relatively hot. The light orange, still pretty hot. And then even into this like tan shaded area, it still could be above average. So I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. But yeah, the heat relief is not going away. So the day 8 to day 14 precipitation outlook. Once again, we still have a massive area of below average precipitation likely in the center of the country here. It is nice to see that it might be going away a little bit as it's moving off to the south and the east. So central U.S., you might start seeing some rain once again. This is, by the way, from September 1st to September 7th, so the first week of September. I didn't even mention that. But yeah, it's still gonna be pretty dry in those regions. And out here in the western U.S., you're gonna be seeing some above average precipitation most likely. But yeah, other than that, not much to talk about. So normally this is where we'd end the video, but like I said earlier, we are moving on to the watch warning and advisory display here. This is all the watches, warnings, and advisories going on across the country right now. And what we're going to be focusing on here, pretty much the only thing we're going to be focusing on, is the pink and the orange. The orange are heat advisories. So if you're in the orange here that extends out from central Georgia, well, it doesn't really extend. It's kind of just different areas of heat advisories. Anyway, I can't just finish your sentence, Davis. If you're in the orange, you're under a heat advisory right now. If you're in the pink, you're under an excessive heat warning. This is the most excessive heat warnings I have ever seen on one of these maps, and since I've started weather watching. It's kind of frustrating, and I mean, it's bad whenever excessive heat warnings are being issued in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and even Michigan. Yeah, it's hot, it's dry, it's nasty, it's muggy. This also includes several entire states, so if I can say with confidence, wherever you're at in Indiana, wherever you're at in Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, almost all of Mississippi, you're under an excessive heat warning. If you're in any of those states, guaranteed, and you could be under an excessive heat warning if you're somewhere else, but you'll have to look for that yourself. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. So if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Again, Ohio Valley, look out today. This isn't the way that you guys probably wanted to see some heat relief, but I gotta let you know. So I'll see you on the next one.